What's going on, Soul Nation, and welcome to another No Rest for the Wicked video. My name is Brian if you happen to be new to the channel, and today we're actually talking about Private Division. For those of you who don't know, I was lucky enough to get to sit down and talk with Thomas, and I asked him specifically about Private Division because they are being sold off from Take-Two. This has caused a little bit of turmoil, and Thomas gives an update as to what that was as a cost, but here is some good news. The game is in a good state. But like I said, I got to sit down and talk with Thomas in this interview and let him speak to it, and then we're going to follow up with his update. Obviously, news this year broke that Private Division is shutting down. They're either being, however the company is doing it. Is there, are you guys shopping around for another partner in that regards, or are you going to go more independent? Is that anything you can share with the community? Because I know some people have been concerned by that.
Yeah, so what I can say is I don't think people should be concerned about that. Obviously, we are hard at work already on the next updates and so on, right? We have long-term plans for Wicked and so on. Private Division has been a great partner on Wicked. They literally believed in us, let us do our thing, allowed us to take all these risks and so on, which we absolutely 100% do not take for granted, right? Look at the market out there, right? It's pretty crazy, but they believed in us. They saw what we did with the Ori games, right? And saw, okay, you guys are talented, right? We'll let you do your thing, which was super appreciative of. But Take-Two ultimately decided, hey, this, has to happen. So we are maneuvering that, but I can't go into details on what that actually means. I don't think people have to be concerned. We are hard at work. We're doing the best that we can on just getting more and more updates out and so on. I think we'll be fine.
And I think that they're going to be fine too. In fact, Thomas's reiteration that the game has sold really well, this gives them a position of strength, especially within the industry, and that they're shopping around. He goes on this weekend to actually give us an update about that. But yes, there is a little bit of a downside to it, and maybe this is going to be something that helps kind of set a better tone as to why this latest update is taking as long as it is. And that's just the state of development. If you guys are interested in game development, action RPGs, No Rest for the Wicked, you guys are in the right spot. If you do feel like my videos and content earn your subscription, sound off in the comments, just like these incredible people right here. If you find the subscription button, it's somewhere hidden. I don't know where it's at, but if you find it, let me know. I'd love to welcome you officially to the channel. Now, let's dive in because Thomas literally says this. Folks, Private Division doesn't have much to do with the update taking longer apart from the fact that they're being sold off from Take-Two, which means that we've had to handle that issue next to just the development of Wicked. We'll update everyone here as soon as this is all done. And yes, this cost us a bunch of time, but I think that we're going to be better with a better outcome in the long run. And so let's break this down just a little bit, right? Take-Two Private Division was the publisher that's essentially kind of acting in a way as the purse, and obviously with marketing, that kind of being where that's played out. But they've been having to shop around for another partnership. And when I asked Thomas about this specifically, obviously he wasn't ready to go into details. Here is just a little bit of speculation on my part based off of what Thomas has shared in previous posts that we've covered already here on the channel, is that they've had a couple of calls with Microsoft, and Microsoft has wanted and pushed for Ori 3, and the team themselves internally want to make Banjo 3, after maybe sometime after No Rest for the Wicked. My hope is that with Moon Studios getting enough funding and focusing on hiring the best game developers that they can, maybe we're going to see some really good things beyond No Rest for the Wicked in the future. But while I don't know for sure if it is Microsoft, and this would not be a buyout of Moon Studios, but them coming back in and stepping in as the publisher, this could mean some really big things, especially for the game. And ultimately, with them moving away from day and date on Game Pass and moving more into a play anywhere, which what we've seen happen this year alone, and we'll talk about more of that in the second part of this video, I think this could be a really good opportunity for more people to get hands-on, and maybe even sooner rather than later. But I'll keep you guys up to date on all of this. Now, it isn't just Thomas who's given us some updates. Carol is tweeting out, since so many of you are asking, to all Wicked game fans, we are cooking. really cooking. I emphasize the really cooking part because it just makes me smile. Anyway, we have been fully heads down with the work on a few big features and content expansions. In addition, some big things are happening for Moon Game Studios this year. I think the second part is in reference to what Thomas is talking about. We will have to wait and see how that plays out. Anyway, I can't wait to find out. I know I'm going to fanboy out on this one. Anyway, we'll be sharing more when we can. And in the meantime, we're going to be working on improving the communication on all of our channels so that we can posting more frequently. As a content creator, thank you. This is great. Like, I want to be able to give you guys the good information, but I'm also a fan and I want to see this information for myself. He says, I personally can't wait for us to finally share it. It will be worth the wait. He doesn't say will. I don't know why I added that. It will be worth the wait. I will work on reading as a baseline skill. I think maybe I'm at 4th grade right now. Who knows? Anyway, and then he says the pot is always bubbling because people were tired of the steak memes. So now we're going to go to bubbling pots of water or soup. I don't know. Either way, another thing I would like to highlight is William quote tweets this. He works on the game. He says, obviously I can't share anything yet, but we've been getting to do more and more during my time at Moon. Extremely excited for everyone to see more of the work that I have been doing on Wicked, Swords Crossed. So I think we're looking at some really exciting updates. I cannot wait to be able to play the game with you guys. I cannot wait to see what more in store there is. It's going to be a fun time for sure. Now let's take a slight pivot before we get to our message of hope. Because Thomas wasn't also just sharing this stuff out on Discord. He's been tweeting a lot and getting a lot of attention. And I think this can be positive. It could, depending on your worldview, might seem a little bit negative, but for the game itself, attention is key. And this is going to obviously relate to DEI. Thomas writes, I never retweeted anything from Elon before because I'm a game designer, but I very much agree with this statement. The problem with DEI isn't its principle, but it's how it's being implemented. Years before DEI became a thing, we had Quentin Tarantino, a white director, make a movie about a badass black dude who buddied up with a white dude. My point being, just let artists be artists and DEI will happen naturally. Ultimately, a good message has to come from the heart and not from indoctrination. Now, anytime we have these conversations, there's always going to be people, depending on their worldview, that are going to feel attacked. And that is not the goal of this. My concern is that because of how DEI is, its terminology is very Orwellian. Meaning, just like if you haven't read 1984, the book in and of itself goes into the ministry of truth, the ministry of love. It wasn't actually about truth and it wasn't actually about love. It is just a smokescreen to lull everybody into this idea like, oh, they want to have more opportunities for underprivileged people. I think we all want that. In fact, we should all be working towards that as a goal beyond the corporatism that ends up coming out of it. This also for me is this gives gaming a really good compare and contrast point. Whether you're on the left or the right of Gamergate 2.0, no matter where you fall politically, this is the marketplace of ideas at work. DEI this year has been shown to have catastrophic effects in terms of the products. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a one-to-one relationship. I've seen people try to claim that Metaphor is a woke, aka DEI-based game, but they weren't virtue signaling any of that. They're just focusing on making a game. DEI and the Gamergate pushback isn't on the themes that these games tell. They're actually on what they kind of do from a marketing perspective, and that's really where I think this all falls down and collapses on its own way. So this is going to be a good compare and contrast. And I'm really glad that Thomas is speaking up about this because more and more people need to speak up. Critique is what is needed. Actually open and honest and good faith dialogue is what is needed, because that is where we're going to find common ground. That's where we're going to win hearts and minds and ultimately try and make the world a better place. We're never going to be perfect. We're always going to fall short a little bit, if nothing else, maybe a lot of it, depending on where we are in life. But That is the key aspect. So we're seeing the marketplace of ideas play out in real time. I'm glad that Thomas is speaking up. We've seen other people speak up and allude to this kind of viewpoint as well. But this also could be a big and has been a big risk for him. Thus, the game being a success, people supporting and buying the game and playing the game does help kind of in a way test that theory out. And so I'm really happy that Thomas is speaking up about it. And I want the world to have more opportunities. And ultimately, that is where I think the conversation should go, as opposed to DEI or I don't like this thing bad. What is good? It's like, no, if you are focused on merit, and that's what we talk a lot about here, if you focus around merit, you're going to have DEI naturally. It is something that just happens. You don't always get actually merit when you focus in on DEI. So we got to switch that up, focus in on merit, and create opportunities for everybody to win in this life. And we can win. And we're talking a little bit more about that in today's message of hope. Now, when I talked about, because I've been drawing allusions to Orwell, for those of you who haven't read his works, very dystopic future. Excellent read. It's probably something that you would get chills reading today because of just everything that's kind of going on in society. But a couple of people kind of replied to my comment, to Thomas, that says, hell is paved with good intentions because intentions do not equal the result. So Sabi, I agree with you 100%. Hell is paved with good intentions. And so just because someone's intentions are good doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get that actually as a result, because we as human beings, well, some of us suck for sure, but we're also flawed. We're also selfish. We've got the things that we're going to struggle with, and everybody's struggle is going to be different. But the point is that we should always be struggling onward together in this case. Mr. X says, true. This is obviously also very hypocritical. They want inclusivity and diversity, but when they discriminate against other kinds of things. One above all discrimination is women and their beauty, and then white man discrimination. Now, I have been discriminated against because of my skin. My dad actually was targeted because of his skin color, and he lost his job. Thankfully, he won his lawsuit against them, and they had written up all these horrible things targeting him specifically because he was white, despite the fact that he was getting all of these underprivileged kids into good schools and scholarshiped all the way up to university. The guy did some amazing work, and I've seen it negatively and just the amount of stress that caused him on his life. So this stuff is real, right? I'm not sitting here saying he's a victim. I think we spend so much time thinking that we're victims, at least when I see the online disclosure, you start to believe it. We all have had struggles. We all are this is a shared human struggle that we are all going to have. But my point is, taking these two ideas that, these replies here, building off of my Orwellian statement, here is a proposal that I would love to see companies specifically do. Why not take the millions and millions of dollars that you're funneling into a handful of people and through these various different consultant firms, and they do this so they can check a box and they can get access to cheaper money. Look at us. We're being helpful. We're doing all these things. Why not just give that money to the people? Why not give that money to your employees? Hell, why not just pay your minority employees more? I'm sure there's legal ramifications about that, but I don't really care if somebody makes more money than me. That is what I think would be really beneficial, but companies don't want to do that, and here's why. Let's talk about our message of hope. Companies love it when you are in debt. They love it because you have been leveraged and they get to take advantage of that leverage. Now, there's all kinds of conversations about what the government can do, student loans, all that. And I'm always willing to have these real conversations with you guys because they're important. Everybody's going to have a different perspective on these things. But I don't have any control over what anybody does outside of my four walls here, right? So speaking on that, I want to focus and encourage you guys to get out of debt, pay off your debts, and don't wait to start your life. I see so many people out there delaying starting a family, delaying because they feel like they can't buy in. And I understand, a lot of the stuff going on, it feels sometimes overwhelming. You can't get into the market, you can't do this, you can't do that. Don't give up. Focus in on it and focus on what you can actually control. One of those being create a budget, live off of less than you make, pay off all your debts, and then like you'll see yourself and your buying power and your kind of FU power. You don't need FU money to make the world a better place. You just need to be free. You just need to be able to tell your boss or the world or whoever is trying to take advantage of you that you don't actually need to be here. You could be anywhere else in the world, and thus you could start to actually make more money. Ever since I've paid off my debt, the amount of money that I've been making has been going up and up and up. And I would venture to bet that that would not be happening if I was over leveraged, if I was living on credit, if I was borrowing from my future. So at the end of the day, I'm going to always really encourage personal responsibility, because that is the thing that you can control. That is the thing that I can control. I can't control everything else, right? Nor would you want me to have that power. So ultimately, boiling it all down, here's what we can do. Take whatever you can. Life's going to throw you curveballs, but keep getting up to bat, keep taking those swings, and eventually you're going to get some good hits. But you might take a few licks as well along the way. I'm rooting for you. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today about this and all of this stuff. I'm really excited about the future of No Rest for the Wicked. I'm really excited about the future of the gaming industry, but I think there's still plenty of work to be done, and we're going to keep doing that work right here, as well as, I guess, over on Twitter or something like that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for the opportunity. Like I said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.